That's a tough place to be. Anyway, I want to thank Sarah also. So she's right. She got involved with a number of us new House members probably 3 years ago now, and she's done so much behind the scenes, including events like today. So she deserves, it's mostly unnoticed. So thank you, Sarah, for putting this on. So I'd like to talk about two things that the Florida House has done to fight back against the out-of-control federal government and sometimes out-of-control congressmen. First, I'll talk about one tool brought to you by the Florida legislature, the House, that might come in handy sometime. In 1971, Florida House member Maxine Baker passed a law that would allow people, and I'll quote, that are exhibiting bizarre behavior that would be considered by some as insane, deranged, or mentally disordered, or to be involuntarily confined to a mental hospital, insane asylum, or psychiatric ward. How many have heard of the Baker Act? It's Maxine Baker. I checked this, and it can be applied to any residents in the state of Florida, even those that spend a lot of time in Washington, D.C., calling women inappropriate names, using profanity, obsessing about secret spies, and even threatening to send people that disagree with them on bumper stickers to jail. Can you imagine that? So next time you run into somebody that might fit this description, that's, according to one fry short of a Happy Meal, one person said, you can thank the Florida House for bringing in the Baker Act. You never know when you might be at a Perkins restaurant and need to use it. So we've heard a lot about repeal and replace over the past several months. I think they have it backwards. I say replace and repeal. Replace the congressman that did this to our country, then repeal this bad law that they call reform. And we need to start with the flip-flopper Suzanne Cosmas and the flipped-out Alan Grayson. They need to go. You know, I'm not sure which is worse. I actually think in the deep recesses of Alan Grayson's left-wing mind, he really believes that socialized medicine is the way to go, or at least one of his personalities does. With Suzanne Cosmas, though, I think it's much different. She got a pass the first time from her puppet master Pelosi. And then the second time, she voted for this health care reform that she voted against her constituents she claims to represent. But whereas Alan Grayson really believes a lot of this, Suzanne Cosmas reminds me of somebody more like, let's say, Charlie Crist, who will say whatever it takes to become elected. Either way, their policies are wrong for Florida and wrong for America. The second thing, and this is what I'm mainly to talk about today, we did from the Florida legislature is to fight back against parts of this so-called health care reform that just passed. We know everyone is for health care reform of both parties, but we can't destroy the greatest health care system on earth to make that happen. One feature that Sarah alluded to is called the individual mandate. In order to get us go along with this scheme, they have to fine, tax, and penalize us if we don't buy the kind of policy that them and their bureaucrats in Washington would have us to buy. They like it to call it the individual mandate. I call it robbing our freedom. These mandates should be offensive to all people that love liberty. Politicians like Pelosi, Cosmas, Grayson that promote these are pro-servitude. They're anti-freedom, anti-liberty, and likely unconstitutional. In fact, if this stands, this will be the first time in United States history that the federal government is forcing us to buy a product from a private company as a condition of lawful residence in the United States. It's a living tax, a tax on existence. And I'll go ahead and say it here today, I think this is un-American. And we know they'll be bringing the IRS to enforce this. Since this plan is a federal takeover of a sixth of our economy, I think it's fair to say that our two congressmen here voted for the largest expansion of the Internal Revenue Service in United States history. What did their boss say, Nancy Pelosi, when asked about the constitutionality? A reporter asked her that, and I'll quote her. This is what she said. "What? Are you serious? Are you serious? Didn't they take, all three of them, an oath with their hand on the Bible, swearing to uphold and protect the Constitution of the U.S. and bear allegiance to it? I think they did." So here's what we're doing in the legislature. On April 23rd, the Florida House and Senate passed the Health Care Freedom Act. Senator Baker and I filed this last July. Since then, tens of thousands of you have contacted the representatives and senators and let their voices be heard. Unlike the Democratic-controlled United States Congress, the Republican-led Florida legislature listened to you, and we passed this constitutional amendment that protects two basic rights that you'll be able to vote on in November. First, it protects a person's right to participate or not participate in any healthcare program or system, and prevents the government from imposing fines and penalties. Second, it protects the right of individuals to purchase and doctors to provide lawful medical services. We retain the choice for ourselves to buy an insurance policy of our choice, pay from our pocket, or even if they did have a public option, we should be able to choose what's best for our family. You know, the bill is only 3.5 pages long that we passed. Can you imagine that? Now, what would our founders say about this? One of them did. He was a doctor. Dr. Benjamin Rush, the only medical doctor to sign the Declaration, and he was also a delegate to the Constitutional Amendment. Here's the warning he gave. He tried to get medical freedom into the Constitution. Unless we put, there's a quote, unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize to an undercover dictatorship and force people who wish doctors and treatment of their own choice to submit to only what the dictating outfit offers. I want to let you know today that we are not alone. We are part of a national movement for states to begin asserting their constitutional rights when it comes to health care. We were the first state to file this legislation for 2010 sessions. 40 states have now followed and filed various forms of this. I had to chuckle with the last two to file. In this order, they were Illinois and Delaware. And I'll close with this. In the introduction of 10 Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille asked the question, are men property of the state, or are they free souls under God? By these votes our two congressmen have taken, they are saying we're nothing more than property of the state. We in the legislature have taken the first steps to make sure we remain free souls and to prevent government from forcing us to buy something we might not want. The more we work with this bill during session, we started to realize even more how important it was that the right to health care freedom. So in the middle of session, we amended it to Article 1 of the state constitution, which is our Declaration of Rights. Think it's sort of like our Bill of Rights in the state of Florida. It's the same part that guarantees other basic freedoms like speech, religion, assembly, right to bear arms. Dr. Rush tried to get it in 223 years ago. This fall, we'll have an opportunity to put health care freedom in our Constitution on November 2nd. If you believe in medical freedom, and I know you do, individual rights, if you believe that we alone should have the right to decide what's best for us and our family, if you believe in these fundamental values that our founders clearly believed in, please get out and work and support this amendment in November. Let the people of Florida decide what they think about freedom of their health care. And when you go to those polls on November 2nd, you need to vote yes for one of these great candidates up here. You need to vote no on Grayson and Cosmas. I say let their political careers die quickly. And while you're there at the polls, vote yes for health care freedom. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Florida. God bless America.